When I specifically buy Bitcoin, what I'm thinking to myself is I'm using my own personal capital to hopefully prop up and support the emergence of something that would rip apart the existing financial system. And if it does, God bless it. And what will happen is individuals who are on the right side of history, on the right side of justice, will benefit. Individuals will be able to get access to capital easier. Individuals will be able to transact cheaper. Individuals will not get cheated.
Chamath Palihapitiya warns Bitcoin holders to not be fooled out of your positions. Chamath Palihapitiya has been an incredibly successful investor and was one of the first to jump on Bitcoin. At one point, Chamath owned 5% of the entire Bitcoin supply, and he has an average buy price of just $80 per Bitcoin. In this video, Chamath was asked his opinion on how other famous investors such as Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger warn against Bitcoin. Although this is from back in 2014, his advice is just as, if not more relevant today, with many Bitcoin skeptics trying to scare holders. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video where we will go over some recent Bitcoin on-chain data that suggests where the Bitcoin price is going in the short term. Also, only a small percentage of my viewers are actually subscribed. If you enjoy finance content, consider subscribing or liking the video. It's free and you can always change your mind.
We got old white men are the best, right? We got Buffett on one side, we got Perkins on the other. They're both kind of good at something, but they're both kind of crazy at other things.
Yeah, okay.
I think he's probably generally true. Look, the reality is,
You think Warren is generally right?
No, I think Mark's right.
Okay, Mark.
But as a general statement, like the general statement, which is true, is that we all tend to be dismissive or negative of things we don't fundamentally understand. And I think it's reasonable for a guy who's made $50-60 billion by owning things like Coca-Cola and Gillette to not understand Bitcoin. And forget like the last 13 years of tech as well, which he's also completely ignored. But he's allowed to do that. And he's very successful in his own right. Just like I don't know why I would buy Coca-Cola or Gillette. It just makes no sense to me.
Sure, but
so I'm just as crazy as he is.
Sure, but he has a record of being a pretty savvy, analyzer of financial instruments. I would give him a little more credit than that.
No. My point is there are lots of ways to make money, and this is actually a really good point. So we have to be respectful of many ways of making money if making money is the goal. I've said that for me. Again, this platform I want to use as a way to drive change in areas that I think are fundamentally broken. And money is my tool for change. So money is a necessary evil. So when I think about doing things, I have to think about it from a broad investing mindset of, can I generate returns? Because if I do, I can take this money and do something really awesome with it. I can fund Alzheimer's research. I can do something over here in education, whatever. So, as an example, like he can go and he can basically own these great CPG names and other things and make money for his investors. That's great. But I think Mark Andreessen can go and invest in Oculus Rift and Box and make money, and so can I. And I think that's all fine.
So how does owning Bitcoin affect change?
I think it's progressing a set of financial changes that fundamentally empower a distributed class and disadvantages entrenched interests. And from that perspective, I think we should absolutely want that type of thing to win. And so when I specifically buy Bitcoin, what I'm thinking to myself is I'm using my own personal capital to hopefully prop up and support the emergence of something that would rip apart the existing financial system. And if it does, God bless it. And what will happen is individuals who are on the right side of history, on the right side of justice, will benefit. Individuals will be able to get access to capital easier. Individuals will be able to transact cheaper. Individuals will not get cheated. Simple example, you talk about, for example, like remittances being a big business. For those of us who are not white and not born here, who send money back to a third world country, you will know that there are thugs that stand outside these money depots and will basically charge you like a cover charge to get into the bloody place to get your cash. And so when I send $100 back to Sri Lanka, my uncle or my cousin may only get $70 because he has to give 5 or 10 just to get through the front door. That's bullshit, right? So there's all of these things that are just so good and will change constructively if we have a fundamentally distributed, secure currency. And it starts with property, and property plus smart contracts and triple entry accounting equal a currency. So we should stop getting caught up in all the semantics and celebrate the fact that the US government now acknowledges what it is that you all care about. Hugely important. By the way, the other thing is, eventually these retailers will want to do it because, the ability to eliminate credit card fees, what was Goldman's thing was $250 billion a year, and then the ability on the behalf of a consumer to prevent fraud, those are hugely positive aspects of adopting some kind of a virtual cryptocurrency. And so it'll tip. Bezos probably better than any of us in this room. This is a guy that's if you want to kind of like scorch the earth and like, basically like take every single ounce of profit and like, pass it back to the consumers,
no doubt.
this is the most obvious way to do it over and above, vertically integrating and all the other things that he's already naturally doing.
And yet they're not going to do anything that would confuse their customers, so they're going to have to wait until people are comfortable with it.
Yeah, but now I think when you have, like I said, with IRS guidance, someone is going to develop a very clever product that basically allows you to use Bitcoin effectively like a currency with all of the mechanisms that allow it then to be accounted for properly like a property, but is fundamentally then fungible like a currency. And I think that's quite straightforward now.
Are there growth patterns that you saw at Facebook that are being replicated here with Bitcoin?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the projects that I worked on very early on was our platform. And, we had a way of like looking at our platform API usage to kind of think about what was happening in the ecosystem as a corollary to what would happen with user growth. And we've applied, and, we've been doing a bunch of that same analysis here, and we see a lot of very similar patterns. And I think that's really constructive. So, when you look at sort of just like Bitcoin and sort of like its distributed use, it's really impressive the amount of people that are now using it. And using it, like meaning like developers writing to it and I think that's just a really big deal.
You worked with Mark Zuckerberg for many years. You're still friendly with him. What does he think of Bitcoin?
I think he thinks it's cool. I don't think they're going to do anything in the near term. I'm speculating. But here's a great thing that would be awesome, is if Facebook figured out how to either partner or launch a secure wallet, and then how to basically apply their identity on top of it to create a white space within the blockchain so that transactions by and between people who are willing to be named has some mechanism to basically like have an easier way of doing things acknowledged by governments and tax authorities, et cetera. That would be a game changer for Bitcoin overnight.
So there's Chamath's warning: do not be fooled by investors who do not understand a new asset. Do your own research and come to your own conclusions.